Welcome to a finished game experience of Astroneer. This is like Factorio Light in space for a game comparison. But it's much more than that. There's a lot of exploration that's rewarded in this game, and it is quite fun to build up your bases and explore the small solar system that we have. Let's get rockin' and rollin'. Our first objective is to get out of our little launch pod and start setting up base. We're going to build quite a bit here on this beginning world of Silva. In Astroneer, we'll collect resources both from the surface and the underground part of the world using our terrain deformer tool. Just hit E and go mining. Items can then be detached from your backpack, allowing you to control aesthetics in your base. Oxygen is going to be our first real struggle in this game. As an aside, though, I found some fireworks right next to our base. I think it was to celebrate like the 4th of July or something else in the game. So, resource-wise, let's talk about compound. We use it to build so much in this game. Everything from more tethers to expand our radius of breathable oxygen, to even small generators and printers. Speaking of generators, we're going to go ahead and build one using compound that we just gathered. They burn organic resources to make energy for us. Compound is also used to build tether bundles, which we can use to place down and spread more breathable oxygen in our area. But in order to get that oxygen to spread, we need an oxygenator from our starting package. And in order to start building the rest of our base, we're going to need a small printer, also made from, you guessed it, compound. Well, alright, let's go ahead and get that oxygenator and some of our starting cargo. The game sets you up with an oxygenator, a medium printer, and a nice little starting platform. Platforms are how you distribute power and have automation in this game. Okay, mission number 1. Let's get some storage. For that, we need resin. We'll also need to gather some organics. We just go ahead and chop down the whole forest here and we'll burn that in our small generators. Alright, first mission accomplished. We can go ahead and supply our generator with power, plug it into our printer, and print off our storage needs. In Astroneer, we get access to new objects that we can build by researching them. We need to get research points first, though. This can be accomplished by gathering research items that you research in a research chamber, or by scanning small research objects around the world. Research items can often be found underneath research sample-rich areas, such as here. I'm going to go ahead and start using our medium printer to get our first base going. We need some large platforms, and that takes resin. Thankfully, research in this game is pretty easy to acquire. We're going to go ahead and supply our medium printer with some power, and go ahead and let it print. And it takes a little bit because I don't have that much power built right now. And there we are, our very own research chamber. Let's power it up. We can get some early renewable power by plugging in a large platform into our shelter. The shelter has what's called an RTG. This has an endless supply of power, but it's very small. About 1 unit of power, but it's good enough for beginning research. So, just about now, I think it's time that we delve into the smelting chamber, where we can get advanced resources. Remember when I said exploration was a huge part of the beginning game? Well, here we find a wind turbine just on a wrecked rover. So that's going to yield us a lot of extra power, really good for our beginning research. Oh yeah, that wind turbine definitely helped us kick up the research rate. And now we have enough bytes to research the smelting furnace. Let's build it up. Here's a part where I almost died for the first time. I was exploring well outside the range of my tethers, and I ran into a crashed large shuttle. It had inside of it some glass and some clay, and some ammonium, and a little rover seat that we can use later on. That was definitely a close call. I need quite a bit more storage. Let's get some resin. And let's get some more storage and platforms going. Oh yeah. Automation is handled with platforms in this game. We're going to stick our generators onto a large platform and put some fuel in the adjacent slots. You'll notice that when I turn it on, it automatically moves the fuel over. Everything in this game, for the most part, is terraformable using the terrain deformer tool. We can build a canister to gather up soil to build bridges, ramps, even build cool bases if you want to. And so with us getting access to the canister, I think it makes sense to get the soil centrifuge next. But let's also make sure to keep our research going. One of the first resources we're going to need a good amount of is copper. That's for power. As you can see here, our terrain deformer, well, it's not doing so good of a job against this rougher terrain. We'll need to upgrade our drill. And hey, just exploring around, I found a work light. Super good for putting on vehicles later on, and on our backpacks right now. Large platform B is wow, it's a great starter platform. We're going to use one of those to go ahead and set up our smelter. Now, large platform Bs are so good because they can also hold 2 medium storages on each side. This is going to make automation a cinch for our smelter. Alright, we've got it all set up. Let's start smelting. And whenever it gets done with one resource, it'll pull one over from an unused side and deposit the finished resource on one of the storage bays. This is amazing. Remember that tough terrain? It's not going to be so tough anymore. Let's get the drill mod 1 for our tool. Yes, we just found our first cave. Caves are where a lot of the primary resources of a planet are going to be found. So it's important that we build a proper ramp so we can get in and out and put some tethers down there. They're also full of some hostile plant life, but very rich research items as well. Nice, we find some aluminum. That's exactly what we needed for our soil centrifuge. That's going to give us so many resources, guys. Let's get it up. The first real dangerous plant life we find is called a pop coral. They explode if you get too close or if you mine their roots. It can definitely kill you if you're close to them. Yes, now we can build the soil centrifuge. This is going to allow us to get so many resources. So let's get our soil centrifuge set up. We'll have it on its own platform because we need kind of a lot of automation from it. We feed it soil from the canisters that we built from the resin. Now, soil centrifuges can provide anything on the surface like resin, compound, quartz, graphite, clay. They're awesome. With this setup, it pretty much means we don't need to go manually mine resin, organic, even graphite and quartz. We can just get it all easily just by mining a bunch of soil real quick. How cool is that? So I think our next step is to get some power. We got all that copper, let's make use of it. The small solar is perfect. You can use it on your backpack to power up your own batteries, or leave it on to power your research and the rest of your base during the day. Check it out, we can charge our own batteries. Yeah, they even track the sun while they're on your backpack. So cool. Well, it's at this point we have almost everything we need to try to leave the planet. We just need a small shuttle and a thruster. Oh, and I had my first death. I suffocated right at the end of a snapshot recording. We have to go find our body. Luckily, our items are preserved. If we want to get off this planet, we'll need a solid fuel thruster. We'll need a few of these, as these are only good for a round trip. So, let's go mining some ammonium. And let's build one of the suckers. So, to get building this small shuttle, we're going to need a large printer. This is going to need its own platform, so we'll need to build one of those too. Alright, let's build a small shuttle. The packager is an amazing item. We're going to use it to capture research items on the moon that we go to, since they'll have a lot higher value there than on this base planet. We use graphite to construct them. You pretty much hover them over the item you want, and it packages it back up. So, that means we gotta build a bunch of them. Well, that was a good amount of work. We put in our oxygenator so we can breathe on the moon, enter the shuttle, and let's blast off. Oh, yeah. This is such a cool experience, being able to go into space for the first time. And then we get to see the entirety of the solar system. But we're going to Desolo first. It's pretty close, it's not that threatening. Also has wolframite on it, which we'll need for future stuff to build. We'll just select a landing zone and gather up some research items and see what else we can find. Let's just take a quick look around here. It's so different from Silva. A rocky, geyser-filled wasteland. Neat. We can even see Silva. So this is a research expedition. Even the mineral samples that we scan here are worth more than on Silva. So we're going to go ahead and gather up a lot of items and use the packager on them to take them back home with us. These structures here are known as gateway chambers. They're an interplanetary endgame goal. They're pretty neat. So here I go caving, and I accidentally uncover a generator, as well as some extra resources like wolframite. You better believe I'm packaging up that generator. That is some excellent power production, but we'll need carbon to fuel it. Welp, we're all loaded up with research items. It's time to leave a beacon so we remember where we came in from and go back home. This is just ridiculous. We die because we're stuck in a generator, and we pull it out, and it just collision kills us. The generator we found has amazing synergy. The soil centrifuge produces organics, which the smelter turns into carbon. That means a lot of power for very little effort. I think at this time, we definitely need to up our game. We need to get a tractor and a trailer to help us haul all sorts of ore and research items. That means way more aluminum. Oh yeah, guys, let's build a full convoy of tractors and trailers. Vehicles in this game, we just link together like other platforms. They have little plugs on the back of them that you just link them together, and then the front tractor will lead the others along. You can even put medium storages on each of the trailers to increase their capacity. So we're going to go ahead and put a little generator here because they still need power, so we'll have to carry some fuel with us on extended missions. But still, way better than just hauling everything around in our shitty little backpack. So just as we head out with our convoy for the first time, I run across something that's super helpful. A medium solar plant and a small solar plant. Yes. So I'm out looking for copper to increase our passive power gain to fuel more research, and we run across a lot more research items. Let's load them up. And you know it, we find lots more copper. Yeah, let's make use of this convoy. The power generator attached to our vehicle can even power our own personal battery through tether attachment. The vehicles also act as a supply of unlimited oxygen, so we can remain deployed indefinitely. And here comes another research convoy, loaded up. It's at this point that I have so many research items, we need to build another research chamber. Let's get it done. And with more research chambers, that means we'll need a lot more passive power to chew through those items. Let's get some medium solar up and operational. Alright, our first solar farm. Yes. And this is so cool, seeing them all open up for daytime. All that juicy power. Gathering research items is not the only way to get research points. There are miniature puzzles littered all throughout the worlds that you can solve in order to get a very high value research item. You can sometimes scan immediately, other times research it for more points. This one, for example, you just plug it in and refill its power reservoir. We can do it through a vehicle, and it will unlock for us. The direction of the power cable does matter here, as I find out. So I had it plugged in the wrong way, and then you need a platform for these to direct the power from your vehicle into the puzzle itself. And so we do that. Refill the reservoir. And then boom, we'll have ourselves a tasty research item. Oh yeah, we're gonna have some huge research now, tripling our output. Beautiful. So our research situation is pretty hungry. We need to constantly be gathering these research items to keep it fueled. So, now it's time for the next step in our operations, the chemistry lab. This is going to allow us to forge advanced materials. It's going to need its own platform and power setup, just like everything else. But oh man, it's going to unlock the rest of the game for us. So the small shuttle can do a decent job, but The medium shuttle really is going to allow us to pack a lot more in and out of the planets that we visit. But it requires aluminum alloy, which means we need to use the chemistry lab to combine aluminum and copper. We'll get this built up for our next expedition. We really need some more reliable power. This is taking a while. The next planet we visit is going to have a strong wind presence. It only makes sense to build small wind turbines to take advantage of all that free energy, right? Our next target is Visanya. It has lithium, which means we can make batteries from that. That's a game changer, allowing much longer deployments. And here we are, all loaded up in our medium shuttle. We've got our packagers, all of our equipment. Blast off to nowhere time. So, let's go ahead and get unpacked. Yeah, get our convoy going. And we'll set off for our mining expedition. There is quite a bit to show off here on Visanya. The research is worth a lot more. So we're going to use a lot of our packagers here to get this all gathered up. As usual, we find some exploration goodies we got to make room for, such as titanium. Time for a package party. That looks so cool. Visanya was quite tricky to get to the underground. There's a lot of ramps we had to build, and the underground was kind of hidden inside of these twisting canyons, so that was a unique challenge. But we eventually make our way down. And oh boy, we strike a good-sized node of lithium. Yes. It was definitely a shame to leave all that lithium behind, but I pack myself down with it. We take as much as we can with me, and we're going to set off here for home. Mission successful. One small battery is enough to supply us with 300% extra power. Again, it allows us to go on extended operations away from our vehicles and base. It's useful for most of the tools that require power on you. You can even take them off of you and put them on your base if you need power in a pinch for something. They're amazing. It's time to unpack that megaton of Visanya research. And the points that are going to roll out from this, oh, it looks so cool. Check that out. Yeah. $6,000 bytes for that high-tech item alone. That is unreal. And this one, 2,000 points. See how big of a difference it is when you go off-world compared to Silva? So talking about other things that can change our game significantly, the small oxygen tank doubles our supply of oxygen in our backpack, so we definitely need 1 or 2 of those. At this point, I get a little greedy. I want to build the large rover, and I'll show you why it was kind of a bad idea. But first, thinking it's a good idea, I go and gather a bunch of resources for it. I grabbed some zinc as well, as that's used in some of the other machines we'll be building later on, and batteries. So here I am, all super excited. I'm going to build a large rover. It's going to be the best thing. And we go through and synthesize the rubber for it and get it all queued up, and it takes a while to build. And you need a rover seat for these things too, by the way. So we grabbed that from our first crash. Yep, super excited still. Not really thinking about like, oh man, is there anything that I'm forgetting about this? Planning for the future? Where am I going to take this and what am I going to use it on? It's huge. So, and then it hits me. This thing is way too big to fit on our medium shuttle. It requires a slot that's not even on our medium shuttle, so it just rolls around like a big dumb box, and I feel like a big dumb idiot. Oops. So we go the more sensible route. We're gonna go with the medium rover. The resource requirements for the medium rovers are a lot more reasonable for the stage of the game that we're at. And guess what? It does fit aboard our medium shuttle. So, the next expedition we have in mind is to go to Glacio. That has titanium and iron on it. So that actually opens up the larger shuttles so we can actually bring a large rover with us if we want to. Awesome. Glacio has a strong wind presence on it, so we can build some of our medium wind turbines and get going for that. Glacio is my favorite planet in Astroneer. I love the way it looks. I love the layout of the resources on it. It actually has the critical endgame resources of titanium and iron, and they're just easily reached. And the strong wind presence means 24-hour power presence. I love that. Well, we go ahead and bridge down into the subterranean layers. And I'm so thankful that the wind does actually work down here in the caves. Just takes a little bit. And here we are, titanium, you beautiful green spears. The research items are going to be worth quite a bit too. Hematite stands out so much on the white surface of this planet. And also, check out those cataplants. I didn't even realize I crept up on a trio of them, but they'll kill you real fast. So here we are, pretty loaded up. I think it's time we make a return home. After packing everything in, it's going to be good to be back on Silva. Nice and safe. The research values from Glacio are pretty darn good. Minerals take a while longer, but man, at 4,000 a pop here, can't argue with that. We have a ton of research bites at this point, and our storage situation really is hurting. It's time for medium storage silos. These things hold up to 24 of the Tier 1 items on them. They allow automation from them to happen, so that's amazing. And here's something even cooler. You can take those silos with you for huge mining expeditions. Yes! The physics for this, oh man, the physics for this vehicle are so hilarious. Man, just look at all this stuff we can fit onto our vehicles now. This is one of the largest nodes I've ever seen of iron. This is just ridiculous. It's just littering the ground at this point. Wow. Fully stocked. Ready to head home and smelt all this. Definitely going to maximize our storage situation. It's just going to be a game changer at this point. Our base is a friggin' mess. I need to upgrade our storage situation. And So that means I need to build quite a bit of platforms and storage silos to refactor this base. The extra large platform B is amazing for holding these things. We get a lot of the tier 2 slots on it. This is going to be beautiful. We're going to have a slot for all of our refined resources, our raw resources, our unrefined resources, and our specialized resources, all within our grasp. So the final resource we need to gather is the atmosphere gases. To do this, we need the atmospheric condenser. And we'll be able to harvest the gases from each of the planets. Now, a lot of the planets do share some of the gases, but a few of them have unique ones, such as Atrox having helium. We'll need to go to a very dangerous planet to get the rarest gas for our titanium alloy. These octagon-shaped extra-large storage pads are perfect for automating these gases. I think they present just the right display. So first things first, let's go ahead and gather Silva up. We're gathering hydrogen and nitrogen here. With access to these, we can finally start to build towards the large shuttle, the biggest and baddest of them all. Let's go ahead and grab that research. Titanium alloy is expensive. It's a long production chain. We'll need ammonium for graphene and hydrazine. Hydrazine is both a building resource and a fuel for the hydrazine thruster. We'll make extensive use of it. So to get enough graphene, I had to actually mine out quite a bit of soil to get the graphite that we needed. So you get to take a look at the huge wasteland here in the background of me just mining that mountain. So, at the end of that chain, we have to use some nitrogen to go ahead and combine titanium and graphene into titanium alloy. And we've been harvesting quite a lot of the gases, so we just haul them on over. Let's get that bad boy started, yeah. It definitely takes its fair share of time to get done, but it is worth it. Oh man, here we go. Look at how many slots. Yes! We can even expand this further by putting large storage on it. The solid fuel thruster's good, but the hydrazine thruster, now that is renewable and better. But it's back to the chemistry lab because we need more titanium alloy for it. It's at this point that I'm going to need a lot more tungsten for some future operations. So we need to head to Desolo. And there, oh man, we're going to find a mega load of wolframite, which turns into tungsten. Yeah, I wanted to use my new large rover, so what? I built it and it was too big for everything else. This thing eats so much power. The medium rovers were much better for this kind of a mission, but still, I wanted to have some fun with it. But just look at this crazy mega load of wolframite. Oh my gosh, like it just starts littering everywhere. I definitely have flashbacks to that hematite back on Glacio. It just keeps going and going. Finally back at home, we can make use of that tungsten. We needed it for the hydrazine thruster. The hydrazine thruster has 3 slots where you fit 3 canisters of the hydrazine fuel. Each canister, I believe, provides 2 return trips. The wiki kind of says that each one provides 8, but that's not correct with the current patch. You know, at least the software version that I'm using here, so that probably needs to be updated, or maybe I'm just using a fucked up part of the game? Not sure. One really cool thing you can do with your vehicles is attach a drill to the front of them, and then drill for resources that you need. So, let's go ahead and get it built. You can put soil canisters on your vehicle and just mine a bunch of soil easily that way, so no more manually digging in the dirt for me. And there is kind of a downside here. It is really easy just to tumble mine your way and get lost. Kind of scary. So I try to find my way out, and guess what I drill right into? Yeah, I totally screw up my base right here. Mining into stuff, collapsing things, disconnecting power cables. Oh man. Well, my base looks beautiful now. So it's time to go gather some more gases on other planets. We're going to pack up our atmospheric condenser, load it up on the shuttle, and expand our storage with large storage. That'll grant us some more tier 2 slots. Alright, we are packed for bear with everything we might need. Let's head out. So, we came here for a couple reasons. We came here first off to go ahead and mine up the atmosphere, and then go ahead and get some more titanium. The wind power is barely going to cut it for harvesting the gas, which is argon, that's what we need. But, oh well, it'll still be pretty good. In the meantime, I test out the drill on the front of our rover with a wind power, and it does okay at best, but I ran out of power really quickly. We just are kind of dead in the water. Yeah, as you can see here, we're just gonna run out of power, and then we gotta wait for the wind to turn back on here down in the caves. It's a little bit of a bummer, but hopefully soon we'll get something to solve that. We're back up at the main camp. Yes, we have lots of argon. So, now it's time to prep for our trip to the most dangerous planet in the solar system, Aatrox. We're going to harvest the helium gases we need there for the end game material known as nanofiber carbon. Now, wind and sunlight are pretty rare on Aatrox. They still exist, but not in sufficient amounts, so I grabbed the medium generator. We're going to build as many of those as we can, get as much carbon fuel for them as we can, and see how much helium we can pull out of there. Alright, we have our preparations made, a ton of carbon fuel for our generators. Let's make the most of it. Time to blast off to nowhere. Awesome. Aatrox is a cool but very dangerous planet. I'm using a solid fuel thruster to go there because some of the plants can launch explosive projectiles that can destroy small modules. There's horror stories on the internet of people losing their hydrazine thruster and even other modules that are really important and getting stranded on this dangerous planet. Thankfully, each of the Astro-engineer planets come equipped with all the basic resources, so you can always get off of them. Alright, let's go ahead and commence Operation Steal Atmosphere. Alright, all the storage and everything's all set up. We have everything plugged in. Let's go ahead and harvest the methane and the helium. Now, whenever you harvest rare gases on planets, the rarer it is, like the less parts per unit, it takes a lot more power. Helium is pretty expensive. So I take this time to go ahead and start exploring Aatrox. Find some fireworks, of course, and we get to see some of the dangerous plant life. Unfortunately, half of our fuel is already gone. But we did get a lot of research items, but I'm hoping just to get enough gas to last us for quite some time. Dang, they just burned through that carbon. So I load up all of our gases that we got, all of our research. We say goodbye to our good old atmosphere condensers, and let's head home. So let's compare some of the Aatrox research samples against some of the other planets. The 3000's okay. You know, this is, yeah, again, 2500. So as far as the danger level versus the reward, it's not worth it to go there for the research alone. So, all of this gas harvesting allows us to try to make the crane. Let's grab it and build it. The crane is something you have to mount on another vehicle. It takes up quite a bit of space, and you have to put a drill on it, but oh, that arm. Look at that arm. It just allows you to mine so much, and for soil mining, there's none better. So, another crazy bug happened. I was flattening the ground underneath of my crane that was on my rover. Well, a collision detection bug happened, and the entire vehicle fell through the planet. I don't even know if we're going to be able to find it, man. My thought process is that maybe it fell through, but then it hit some solid earth. And there it is. It did. It finally had a collision detection and didn't fall all the way through the planet somewhere weird. But how am I going to get it back up to the surface? Welp, it's time to commence the operation Rescue Crane. We're going to have to build a giant ramp down here so we can drive it back up or haul it back up with another vehicle. This actually provided me with the perfect opportunity to show off the winch. The winch is something you can put on another vehicle, and then you attach the end of the winch to any object, even very large objects. So, we're going to haul our entire crane and vehicle out of there with another vehicle. Well, now that we've got the entire crane kind of built up, we need the ramp. So, this is going to take quite a bit of terraforming here. Alright, so here we go. We're going to get in our large-ass rover, it has a lot of horsepower, and see if we can drive it down our ramp without flipping like crazy. So all we got to do is attach that winch, there we go. And we'll start hauling it back up. Hopefully it's not too much of a pain in the ass with like collision on the terrain. So far driving's more difficult. I think we might have to like flip the position of it. Yep, and that does it. Operation Rescue Crane is a success. Alright, turned a bug into a fun time. So let's go ahead and make use of our crane here. I'm going to mine some soil, because we need a ton of it for our centrifuge to get a lot of graphite for packaging. Yes, just look at those soil canisters fill up so fast. Well, remember all those power problems we were having on every planet, especially Aatrox? The RTG is going to solve all those. But first, there is a long chain of resources to build to get the nanocarbon alloy. And here's where the helium we harvested comes into play. Yes, end game resource. So I built enough resources to supply 3 RTGs. This is going to provide 12 units of power. It pretty much is going to make every other form of power generation obsolete, but we can still make quite a bit of use of power storage. Oh man, this just feels so good. Infinite power on a rover. No more burning anything. Yeah! Same with our base. Oh, infinite research potential. So with that all accomplished, there's only one objective really left to do, and that is to unlock the endgame. To go to each planet and awaken it by going to a gateway chamber, then drilling to its core and awakening the gateway engine at the core of each planet. Remember those large purple structures that we found early in the game and they were on every planet? Well, that's what we're going to go to. And those are the gateway chambers. The gateway engines are at the core. We'll then need to supply a certain amount of power to each of these gateways. With a gateway chamber unlocked, we can now go to the gateway engine at the center of Silva. Then you can use these nodes, and even the dim node in the center of the planet. Once it's awakened, you can teleport to any of them. And eventually, once you get the unknown satellite awakened, you can travel from planet to planet. It's super neat. Well, now it's time to dig down to the core of the planet. Let's go. There's pretty much one way to really do this, and it's going to cost you a rover, unfortunately, but you just tumble mine your way to the center of the planet, and the gravity there is going to change, and unfortunately it's really hard to bring back any rover parts that you have, so anything you drive down there like this large rover, well, it's going to get abandoned. You see that purple glowing structure? That is the gateway engine. We're going to dig down below that to find the core. As you can see here, gravity is altered. We're actually driving on this structure even though it's like the wrong way. Also in the core of the planets is a rare resource called astronium. It's only ever useful for researching, and it's pretty slow to research, but still you can gather up quite a few nodules of it down here. Here's some. It's kind of a gooey, plasticky substance. It's neat looking though, prismatic. So once you drill along the base of the gateway structure, it leads to the core of the planet. Here we'll need to provide a certain amount of resources to get, well, it's called a triptych of the planet. It's pretty much this like glyph that activates them. And the gravity here is a true beast. I can't even get inside with my rover. Silva just needs simple quartz to be placed on the slot of it. This takes me a moment to kind of figure out, oh yeah, there's a slot here for it. And then once we get that, we provide that to the center of the planet. To get to the gateway engine core and activate it with the triptych, you just run along the pillars there and plop this on, and suddenly it activates, and we can teleport back to the surface. Super cool. And here I think that I can take the drill back with me if I hold it. No, way wrong on that. But, hey, free trip back to the surface without having to climb and make a crazy ramp. That's worth it. So I go ahead and plop in our Astronium here just to see what it's worth. Confirm its value. Yep, 1,000 units. One other very useful tool I grab is the portable oxygenator. It takes that endgame resource, but it allows us to turn it on, and for a small power cost, we get to refill our oxygen. So if we're stranded somewhere or something unpredictable happens, we're covered. So here's a really neat scene. I built a ramp all the way to Silva's core, and I skate all the way to the core of the planet. I did this so I could get the triptych of the planet. I wanted to collect it for my own trophy case. So I actually make it in time, even with I think it was only like 2 bars of oxygen. Woo! Look at me go! It was fun. So it was at this point that I kind of realized the immensity of the task on me, and I kind of wanted to quit, to be honest. I was like, I don't want to have to dig to each planet, their core. It's a lot of work. I mean, it took me like hours to get down to Silva the right way. And so I prepared myself to kind of end the Let's Play, but it didn't feel right. I wanted to see the end of the game. I wanted to push myself beyond the normal limits of, when you want to quit a game. So buckled down after this point, took a break, and I activated the satellite. Let's hit it. So at this point, I need to build a lot of hydrazine. We're going to be flying to a lot of different planets. So our first target is Desilo. We make it up there with a ton of packed resources and our RTGs. We're going to power that gateway. Each gateway takes a different amount of power, and the difficulty of the planet actually increases that power. So Desilo requires more than Silva, all the way up to Atrox that requires 30 units of power. So we're going to have to build a lot more power storage or power generation to solve that. Desilo is a small planet, so drilling down to its core, that's going to be a breeze. We take a disposable rover, a couple packagers, and tumble mine our way to the core. It's not that bad. We get stuck in a few places and I have to flip things, but we pretty much mine right into the core pretty fast. Take our goodies, and again, I'm thinking about taking my rover, but then I remember, oh yeah, I can't. So we give it the resources necessary, and we go ahead and activate the planet. Once I'm back home, I need to build a bunch of rover seats and a bunch of spare rovers since we need to leave one behind every trip. Also, at first, I think I'm going to go with medium batteries because it'll be a lot cheaper than building a bunch of small batteries. However, after some math and thinking about, hey, I can just get a bunch of lithium on Visanya, well, I'm just going to go with that option and build 24 small batteries, bring 3 RTGs, and that's going to give me more than enough for even Atrox. But we do need sulfur to unlock explosive powder on Calidor for its gateway engine. So I pack up everything, build a disposable base, and start gathering sulfur on Calidor. I even brought the chem lab just to quickly get everything built. And here we go, one of the final ingredients we'll just need to synthesize, that's strange. Exploding powder. Alright, let's roll off for the gateway on Calidor. Just in the distance here. Vroom vroom. Let's get this sucker unlocked. Yes, Calidor is ours. Now we need to drill. Drilling on Calidor is a real breeze, no problem at all. But I do get stuck at one point here. As you can see, I just can't quite get my vehicle to flip and turn over, and if I get out right now, man, that's gonna suck. But eventually I do make it through, pack up the goodies, and run down to the core. So I run down here, we're gonna feed it 3 exploding power and get 3 triptychs. That way I have 1 for myself, 1 for the unknown satellite, and 1 for the planet's gateway. So it's at this point that my 3 RTGs are no longer going to be good enough for unlocking the gateways. So we need to build a bunch of power storage. We're going to build 24 small batteries. That means we need to mine a lot of lithium on Visanya. I decided to bypass all of Visanya's twisting caverns and just drill directly into the ground with my rover. And oh boy, do we find a crazy, crazy lithium mega node. So much. We have more than enough to build our batteries from this. Thank goodness. I thought it was going to be a long haul. So much lithium, so much power. Let's build the batteries. And so begins the great crafting of a bunch of batteries. 24, to be precise. I present to you the Tower of Power. With that, we have more than enough power to unlock Visanya's gateway. So we drive to it, we have some trouble parking it correctly, but we eventually get it unlocked. Yes, alright. Let's drill down into the depths. All aboard the Tumble Mine Express here. Man, this is a long tumble. But we get there. It's also neat seeing all the different layers of each planet. They did a good job, the Astro-engineer developers that is, of making each planet really stand out on its own. Underground feels vast, mysterious. But we drill right into the center, just spinning. Oh man, so cool. Next up, we're going to Novus, the moon of Visanya. We simply drive right up to its gateway, same as before, unlock it, no problem. Novus is incredibly small. I mean, it's so fast to tumble mine to its center. There's also a weird gravity glitch here where I get out of my rover, I'm just in midair running. Alright, enough fun with bugs. Let's go ahead and awaken this planet. We gotta use silicon. Next on our flight plan is Glacio, my favorite place to go and chill out. Then that means, of course, some more tumble mining action down to the core. The terrain here is a little bit tougher to get through, even with the drill 3, but still, you can load through it pretty well. Break into the gateway itself pretty easily, and boom, one step closer to victory. We go ahead and snag the triptych itself. Got to use diamond here. It's kind of expensive to make. A lot of ammonium. And another slam dunk awakening. Yeah. So, our next trip will be our last. We have to take some extra precautions with this one because it's a dangerous planet, so I've equipped soil to help us through. I'm also taking all the triptychs with us so we can jump to the satellite and end the game. It's time to commence Operation Death Garden. Aatrox, here we come. There's a lot of dangerous plants here. Plants that can fling you up in the air, kill you with falls. There's spew plants, there's exploding launcher plants, cataplants. I mean, this planet has it out for us. So I'm going to build a bridge to the gateway chamber from here. So let's go ahead and try to navigate our bridge here on the gateway chamber. It's a little thin, but good enough for our vehicle. Nice. Woo! Nothing can kill us up here. And then something interesting happens. I plug in the cable, and suddenly the gateway chamber doesn't want to unlock. It's as if we didn't bring enough power. At this point, I'm kind of panicking, like, no, I don't want to go back anywhere else. I brought everything I needed. I calculated everything just right. After a few attempts, I figure out, and also see on the internet, that, hey, you actually are having your RTGs charge your batteries while they're trying to give out power, so their RTGs actually aren't outputting anything. Once they're separated, the gateway structure begins to unlock. It's a beautiful thing. Yes, the gateway chamber is ours. Now we just gotta go to the core. So with that, it's time for our final prep. I grab all the triptychs from the other planets. I grab hydrogen, which Aatrox needs to unlock its own triptych. Now it's time to go drilling. Let's see how hardcore this is. It actually turns out to not be that bad. There are dangerous plants down here, but thankfully they don't really target you if you're in a vehicle. So that's actually really nice, because all things considered, if they could blow up your vehicle, you'd have to manually just go down here with your tools, inch by inch, making a tiny ramp. It would take hours. And I already did that on Silva. I really didn't want to do it again. And so we drill right into the heart of the planet, spinning wildly out of control as we tumble mine. Yeah, and we land right where we need to get out and awaken the final planet. Damn, that feels good. And so, it's time to go to the unknown satellite and solve the final puzzle by putting the triptychs on the planets of the solar system. We've come a long way, and I definitely wanted to quit, like I said earlier when I came here for the first time. It was a great turning point for me in this game and the entire experience. I didn't give up on something tough and tedious. And, this was tedious, The building part of the game and getting all the components, that was fun. But this part, I don't know if I would do it again. If I did, it would be to have an interplanetary kind of setup where I take advantage of the gateways. But as it is, right now, I don't have anything in place to really take advantage of it, and it would take quite a bit to build and get it all right. But this was cool. It was a nice touch to the game. It made everything feel organic, like it served a purpose. It made it feel ancient and powerful. And so there we have it, the finished game experience of Astroneer. From beginning, having nothing, not even oxygen or tethers to expand our base, to having an interplanetary network of bases. This was truly a lot of fun, even though it kind of lacks in the endgame for some, extra maybe factorio like, bases, like, some trains, some easier navigation, and the terraforming can definitely be frustrating at times, and you really can't build anything super aesthetic. You can build some things with like the terrain analyzer tool to like color your base with the different terrain colors they have available. That's just light, criticism. This game stands on its own, and it was a blast to play. And the focus on exploration and the lack of real combat, that was refreshing. And there was still a lot of progression to be had. I felt a lot of highs on this game as we explored and built bigger and better things that solved a lot of problems for us. Well, thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate you watching if you've made it this far. It's a huge experience and it's been a long watch. If you guys would like to show your thanks, for such an experience, you can go over to my Patreon and throw your warlord a few bones. In any case, I look forward to seeing you all on the next finished game experience.